What's up, everybody? Welcome back to ending of week 2 and the beginning of week 3 here in the Illinois Idiots. Let's just go ahead and jump right into the games here. Starting off with our first slate of games where we had the Rain City Bitch Pigeons going up against the Charleston Titans, while the Rain City Bitch Pigeons' top performers were Russell Wilson, Kareem Hunt, and Tyreek Hill. The Charleston Titans' top performers were Patrick Mahomes, Ezekiel Elliott, and John Brown. The Pigeons ended up winning 157-113. And it was all kind of spearheaded by a Russell Wilson dominant performance, getting me 33.42 points. Chris Carson's had 19.8. David Johnson was the disappointing performer this week at 7. Tyreek Hill had 21.8. DK Metcalf had 19.2. Noah Fant had 17.7, replacing an injured George Kittle. Kareem Hunt had 24.1. The Saints defense had 3, and Mason Crosby had 11. While the Titans had Patrick Mahomes for 27.48, Ezekiel Elliott for 22.2, Clyde Edwards-Helaire for 13, Jarvis Landry for 7.6, John Brown for 18.2, TJ Hawkinson for 10.2, Michael Gallup for 7.8, the Titans D for 0, and Ryan Succop for 7. Let's go ahead and move along to the rivalry game we had this week of the COVID-19 facing the Green Bay Pack Attack. And it was the COVID-19 winning that one, 160-110. With COVID-19 getting big performances from Stephon Diggs, Travis Kelce, and Mike Evans, with the Green Bay Pack Attack being led by Nick Chubb, Austin Eckler, and Deshaun Watson. So let's go ahead and break down the score for you. For the COVID-19, you had Aaron Rodgers getting 19.2, Todd Gurley getting 6.1, Raheem Mostert getting 18.7, Mike Evans getting 23.4, Odell Beckham Jr. getting 17.4, Travis Kelce getting 24, Stephon Diggs getting 29.3, the Niners defense getting 6, and Justin Tucker getting 16. Meanwhile, for the Pack Attack, you had Deshaun Watson getting 14.7, Austin Eckler getting 18.8, Nick Chubb getting 26.3, Devontae Adams getting 6.6, Robert Woods getting 11.3, Evan Ingram getting 12.5, Malcolm Brown getting 4.7, the Cardinals defense getting 9 points, and Jake Elliott getting 7. Now we move on to the third game on the slate with the Christian McCaffrey See-Ya-Laters, or the CMC-Laters, facing the Old Goat. And CMC-Laters' top performers were Dak Prescott, 39.8, Calvin Ridley at 29.9, and Christian McCaffrey at 24.8. While the Old Goat had Drew Brees going for 14.48, Josh Jacobs going for 13.5, and Harrison Butker going for 13. So the CMC-Laters did win 142.7 to 74.08. And the breakdowns kind of go like this. Dak Prescott had 39.8 as stated. Christian McCaffrey had 24.8. Derrick Henry only had 8.4. Calvin Ridley had 29.9. Marquise Brown had 9.2. Zach Ertz had 9.2. Melvin Gordon had 16.4. The Bills' defense had -1. And Will Lutz had 6. Meanwhile, on the GOAT side, we had Drew Brees with 14.48, Josh Jacobs with 13.5, Antonio Gibson with 12.2, DJ Chark Jr. with 12.4, Preston Williams with 5.6, Mark Andrews with 3.9, Will Fuller with a goose egg, Chiefs defense with -1, and Harrison Butker with 13. Now we move on to the game of the Mr. Steeler Gurley going up against the Philip Rivers Child Army. For Mr. Steeler Gurley, the top performers were 45.6 from Aaron Jones, Hayden Hurst with 18.2, and Lamar Jackson with 17.56. While for the Child Army, you had Leonard Fournette at 27.6, Tyler Lockett at 19.7, and the Chicago defense at 13 points. So let's go ahead and break it down. For Mr. Steeler Gurley, like I said, Lamar Jackson at 17.56, Aaron Jones had 45.6, Ronald Jones II had 10.7, Amari Cooper had 16, A.J. Green had 5.9, Hayden Hurst had 18.2, T.Y. Hilton had 5.8, the Colts defense had 17, and Young-Ho Koo also had 17. Wild on the Child Army side, Tom Brady had 8.68, Kenyon Drake had 11.5, Joe Mixon had 12.6, Cooper Kupp had 13, Tyler Lockett had 19.7, Gronk laid a goose egg, Leonard Fournette had 27.6, the Bears defense had 13, and Matt Prater had 2. And on to the next game on the slate where we had Slot My Cobb going up against the Toledo Woodpeckers, with the Slot My Cobb's team having Matt Ryan with 28.52, David Montgomery with 21.7, Miles Sanders with 20.1, Alvin Kamara with 38.4, Tyler Higbee with 28.4, and Terry McLaurin with 25.5. And it was the Woodpeckers coming away with the win here, 164 to 112. So let's go ahead and break this down. On Slot My Cobb's team, like I said, Matt Ryan had 28.52, Miles Sanders at 20.1, David Montgomery at 21.7, Julio Jones with 4.4, Juju Smith-Schuster at 11.8, Greg Olsen with a goose egg, Keenan Allen at 13.2, 16.6. The Vikings defense had 3, and Chris Boswell had 6. While for the Woodpeckers, Carson Wentz had 12.38, Alvin Kamara had 38.4, Devin Singletary had 9.6, DeAndre Hopkins with 20.8, Terry McLaurin with 25.5, Tyler Higbee with 28.4, Allen Robinson II with 6.3, the Ravens defense with 15 points, and Robbie Gould with 8. And on to our final game of the week. It was First and Ben going up against what was formerly known as Beer Bongs of Barkley. He changes his name about every week. It drives me insane. It is now known as Taylor Gang with some broccoli on it. And the top performers for First and Ben were 28.3 from Darren Waller, Ben Roethlisberger 18.24, Dalvin Cook with 17.1, while for Taylor Gang you had Kyler Murray going off for 32.14, Tyler Boyd with 20.2, and Jonathan Taylor going off for 19 points. Boy, did I have to eat on that one. So this game came down very closely. Taylor Gang ended up winning 118.84 to 116.84. It was only a 2-point differential. So let's break it down for First and Ben. First and Ben had Big Ben going for 18.24, Dalvin Cook for 17.1, Mark Ingram for 15.7, Adam Thielen for 6.1, Marvin Jones Jr. for 12.3, Darren Waller for 28.3, Benny Sneal Jr. with negative .9 points, the Steelers defense with 13 points, and Samuel Sloman for 7. Meanwhile, for Taylor Gang, you got Kyler Murray going off for 32.14 points, Saquon Barkley only getting 2.8, rest in peace, they have ACL injury, Jonathan Taylor going for 19, Tyler Boyd going for 20.2, Traquan Smith getting 13.6, had to eat on that one as well, Dallas Goedert got 7, Danny Amendola had 4.1, the Rams defense had 5, and Rodrigo Blankenship had 15 points. So that wraps up all of our games for this week. Now let's just go ahead and take a quick look at the standings here. This looks like this. It goes with the Rain City Bitch Pigeons at 2-0 sitting on top, with the Toledo Woodpeckers also 2-0, with the CMC Elators also at 2-0, Slob My Cobb at 1-1, Team the Old Goat at 1-1, and the Green Bay Pack Attack, your defending champions, at 0-2. While over in the West Division, you had COVID-19 at 1-1, Mr. Sherry Gurley at 1-1, First and Ben at 1-1, Taylor Gang at 1-1, Charleston Titans at 0-2, and Philip Rivers Child Army at 0-2. Now let's go ahead and take a look at this week's games coming up, and let's see where our predictions go. And speaking of predictions, if I remember correctly, I believe I went 5-1. I think the only one I didn't get correct was the First and Ben versus Taylor Gang, but much better than the week beforehand. So let's go ahead and look into this week's game. Starting with a battle for the East Division here, with two 2-0 teams going at it, the Rain City Bitch Pigeons going up against the CMC Elators. And as of right now, these are what the rosters look like. The Bitch Pigeons are rolling with Russell Wilson, Chris Carson, Kareem Hunt, Tyreek Hill, DK Metcalf, George Kittle, Laviska Shenault Jr., the Chargers defense, and Mason Crosby. While the CMC Elators are running with Dak Prescott, Derrick Henry, Melvin Gordon, Chris Godwin, Calvin Ridley, Zach Ertz, Marquise Brown, the Bills defense, and Will Lutz. ESPN currently has it going 119 for the Bitch Pigeons versus 122 for the CMC Elators. And I think I'm facing the CMC Elators at a good point where they don't have Christian McCaffrey. But according to ESPN, that doesn't matter. I only have the advantages in quarterback, wide receiver 1, tight end, and defense. And it's not even a positive if my tight end's going to be able to play this week. But on the CMC Elators side, they give the advantage to Derrick Henry and Melvin Gordon. They give it to Calvin Ridley for the wide receiver 2. Marquise Brown is the flex, and the kicker for Will Lutz. Now this is one game that's going to be very hard to tell. I believe it's going to be very close all throughout. It depends on how good, in my opinion, kind of the running backs do in this situation. Is Derrick Henry going to be able to do a performance like he did in Week 1, or will it be a Week 2 performance? How's Melvin Gordon going to do against that Tampa Bay defense down there? Is Zach Ertz going to keep going off like he has been? That's kind of concerning, but he is going up against a pretty decent Chicago defense. In the end, I think I'm going to give myself the win because it's very hard for me to bet against myself. Come on, it's my channel, I have to. But something tells me I might actually sneak out a win here and go to 3-0 and make the CMC Elators go to 2-1. Next, we got the Green Bay Pack Attack going up against the Old Goat. And ESPN has this one going 122.3 to 108.3 for the Green Bay Pack Attack. So let's take a look at their rosters. Pack Attack is running with Deshaun Watson, Austin Eckler, Nick Chubb, Devontae Adams, Robbie Anderson, Evan Ingram, Devontae Parker, the Browns defense, and Jake Elliott. While the Old Goat is running with Ryan Tannehill, Josh Jacobs, Antonio Gibson, Kenny Golladay, DJ Chark Jr., Mark Andrews, CeeDee Lamb, the Chiefs defense, and Harrison Butker. It is kind of nice to see that CeeDee Lamb is finally getting the start on the Old Goat. I believe that's how it should have been from Week 1, but, he has a different way to look at his roster than I do. But the Green Bay Pack Attack get the advantage in quarterback. running back 2, both wide receivers, flex, and defense. While the old goat gets the advantage in running back 1, tight end, and kicker. This game's going to be a little harder to tell than what I think ESPN's giving it credit for. While I do think the prediction of the Green Bay Pack attack is correct in this assessment, I do think that it's going to be a lot closer than a 14-point spread that they have currently projected. I think they're not giving enough love to G.J. Shark Jr., who's going up against a weaker Miami secondary, especially with Byron Jones being out this week. But that's just my opinion. So now let's go on to game number 3 this week. Game number 3, we got the Charleston Titans going up against the COVID-19, and the Charleston Titans are running with Patrick Mahomes, Ezekiel Elliott, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Jarvis Landry, John Brown, T.J. Hawkinson, Michael Gallup, the Titans defense, and Ryan Suckup. While on COVID-19 side, you've got Aaron Rodgers, Todd Gurley, Raheem Mostert, Mike Evans, OBJ, Travis Kelce, Stephon Diggs, the 49ers defense, and Justin Tucker. My guess is Raheem Mostert probably won't actually be in the lineup. I think they'll probably move newly added Devontae Freeman up into the roster. And right now, with that Raheem Mostert in there, they're having the Titans winning 110.9 to 105.9. I still think it's going to be COVID-19 winning in this one. I think they'll add the running back in there, and I think they'll get a boost from that. On to our next game, where we have Philip Rivers Child Army going up against the Toledo Woodpeckers. Right now, they have the Child Army losing 105.7 to 120.1. On the Child Army side, we have Tom Brady, Kenyon Drake, Joe Mixon, Cooper Kupp, Tyler Lockett, Rob Gronkowski, Leonard Fournette, the Bears defense, and Matt Prater. Going up against the lineup of Carson Wentz, Alvin Kamara, Devin Singletary, DeAndre Hopkins, Terry McLaurin, Tyler Higbee, Allen Robinson II, the Ravens defense, and Robbie Gould. And I do think that ESPN's correct. I believe the Toledo Woodpeckers will also get this win as well, and they will move on to 3-0. Next, we got the matchup of Taylor Gang going up against Mr. Stuart Gurley. Taylor Gang is projected to lose 104.3 to 124.8. Taylor Gang's lineup looks like this, with Kyler Murray, Jonathan Taylor, James Robinson, Tyler Boyd, Traquan Smith, Dallas Goedert, Mo Alley Cox, the Rams defense, and Rodrigo Blankenship. While on Gurley's side, you have Lamar Jackson, Aaron Jones, James Conner, Amari Cooper, A.J. Green, Hayden Hurst, T.Y. Hilton, the Colts defense, and Younghoe Koo. And 20 points is a big difference. I don't think it's going to be that much of a difference, but I think it will be Mr. Stuart Gurley still taking the win on this one. And for our final game this week, we have First and Ben going up against Slava Mykob. First and Ben is projected to win 125.8 to 106.9. And First and Ben's lineup looks like this. You got Ben Roethlisberger, Dalvin Cook, Mark Ingram, Michael Thomas, Adam Thielen, Darren Waller, Marvin Jones Jr., the Steelers D, and Greg Zuerlein. Against the lineup of Matt Ryan, Miles Sanders, David Montgomery, Julio Jones, Juju Smith-Schuster, Greg Olsen, Keenan Allen, an empty defense right now, and Chris Boswell. But Slava Mykob did pick up the Buccaneers defense, so I do project that to be their starting defense, since that's their only defense they have on the lineup currently. But still, even with them being in there, it's still a 10-point favorite. I'm going with First and Ben to take the advantage on this if Michael Thomas comes back and is healthy. If he isn't, then I expect Slava Mykob to come and win. That's the caveat on who I think will win that matchup. But thank you very much for listening. I'm glad you guys have come around and listened. If you guys have any questions or anything, leave them in the comments. And never forget, GAYAT is where it's at.